Hello, it's Bailey and welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my, what month was it? September wrap up. I never know what stats to include, so I feel like every month it's different, but here's what I have for you. I read for 27 hours in September, which was 1,876 pages plus 3 audiobooks. I track those stats through Bookly and I don't track my reading sessions for audiobooks, so it's never included in my hour and page stats. That's just how I track my reading. So that's what I read plus 3 audiobooks. I had 3 2-star books, 2 3-star books, and 3 4-star books. So I had no 1 stars, no 5 stars, pretty middle of the road month. Of the 8 books I read, 4 of them were pre-owned, stuff I already owned before the month. 7 were adult and 1 was YA, and 25% of my reading this month was by POC authors. I read 2 2021 releases and I read 4 books that were released in either 2019 or 2020. And then 1 published between the years of 2010 and 2018 and 1 published before 2010. I had 3 thriller mysteries, 2 historicals, 1 romance, 1 fantasy, and 1 contemporary. And I think that's all the stats that I wrote down for this month. I think this is pretty reflective of a typical month for me in a shorter lump of books. 8 books is one of the lowest I've read per month this year so far, but I do really think that reflects like kind of where I've been sitting for the year. So without further ado, I do like to talk about these books from my least favorite to most favorite, so that's what I'm going to do now. And luckily my 2 least favorite I did not own, which is always a good sign. So at 2 stars and my least favorite of the month, I have The Plot by Jean Hunt Corlitz. This one really just didn't work for me. If you watched my final Bookathon vlog, you'll see that I mentioned when I was only like 50 pages into it that I had a desire to DNF it, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna push through to 100 pages, and then I got to 100 pages and I was like, I think I'm gonna keep going a little, and then it was like, you're so close to the end, but it never did pick up for me. What really didn't work in this book for me was I didn't like the main character, and I also thought that the plot centered too much around, for my personal interest, too much around like being a writer and the writing process, and I just found myself not caring. And then I also guessed like what was going on almost as soon as it was presented to us, like as foreshadowing. So all of that put together caused me to not be able to enjoy this. I can see why somebody would. I mean, take any of those factors that I didn't enjoy, and if that's something you do enjoy, for example, like if you have a desire to be a writer, I think you would like the writing aspect of this more than I did. And if you're not able to see the foreshadowing, I also think the ending would be, you know, more shocking than it was for me. So I think there's just a bunch of things in this one that added up to me not liking it. Then also at 2 stars, I had A Touch of Ruin by Scarlett St. Clair. This is the sequel to A Touch of Darkness, and I didn't particularly love A Touch of Darkness either, but I was willing to continue and give the series, you know, a little bit more of a chance. And again, this one was just kind of blah to me. It's one that I'm already struggling to remember what even happened. So in one ear, out the other, I'm moving on from that series. I'm not going to be continuing. And then unfortunately, my last 2-star of the month was the book club book for this month, which was picked by Ruby from Ruby Red, and it was Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. This was something way out of my comfort zone to like begin with, but I was happy to give it a chance, and just like I said, it was out of my comfort zone, not something I connected with very well. The writing style in this, again, I struggled with. It is an overly descriptive writing style, very metaphorical, and that just generally doesn't work for me. If you have an interest in Shakespeare at all, or you like kind of melodramatic, tragic stories, this one could be for you. I've heard amazing things, and a lot of people in the book club did enjoy this. I think, again, it was just not set up to be something I would enjoy. Now, for my 3 stars, I have my Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This one, again, I vlogged all month, so all of these are in my Bookathon vlogs, and this one I struggled with because I was enjoying the process of reading this and I liked the writing style, but again, the main character really frustrated me and there was no like resolution in the end. I feel like there was no character growth. She didn't learn anything. This book is about a student-teacher relationship and like she strongly believes that it was not abuse, that she was not abused, but other girls start coming forward saying that the same teacher abused them and she's still kind of in denial about it. This follows many years. You get when she's in school and then you also get like in the future when these other girls are coming forward, and the end was really unsatisfying to me. Then I have Sarah's Key by Tatiana de Rosne. This is something my stepmom had given to me and it is a like World War II fiction. We are following a French family as they are evacuated from their home, and our main character is able to like save her brother and lock him in a cupboard, but then her and her brother are taken to the concentration camps, and so she's trying to go get back to her brother to let him out because he is like locked in a cupboard. He's going to be stuck there. So you're following her journey as like a young girl having to go to the concentration camps, and then we're also getting a timeline in, so that's like in the 40s, and we're also getting a timeline in like the early 2000s of a family living in the same area, and there is a journalist, I think she is, basically looking back at this time period where they're from and looking into her own family's history, and you find out how the two families are basically connected. It was very good. If you've read World War II fiction, I think this isn't necessarily anything new, but I had a good time reading this one as well. Kind of middle of the road. Not sure if this one will stand out to me for a very long time or not, but it was a good read. Like I said, 3 stars. Now going into my 4 stars, one that really took me by surprise was An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. I had been putting this author duo off for a while. I own all 3 of their published books, and this was the first one that I finally got to. In this one, we're basically following a main character who gets roped into doing like this weird questionnaire thing because she needs the money, and so we're following her, and then we're also following like the therapist who is doing the questionnaires, and you quickly find out that like the therapist is paying a lot of attention to our other main girl, and so we're switching between perspectives, and I really like that the therapist's perspectives in this were told in second person. I didn't realize it till I was pretty far into the book, and then once I realized it, I was like, this is why I'm loving this so much. I just love that in a thriller, and this definitely kept me along for the ride the whole time. Then I have The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This is a very hyped romance. If you haven't heard about it yet, let me be the first to tell you, it was very good. It didn't quite hit 5 stars for me. In this, we're following a main character who has autism, and basically she decides to hire an escort to teach her how to like date. And at first he's not willing to give her like the time, I guess. He is willing to meet her on like Fridays only or something he agrees to, and then it expands into more, and they end up in like a fake dating situation, or like a pretend dating, because he's trying to teach her like how to interact with other people, but throughout the process they end up falling for each other. Obviously it's a romance. I do plan on continuing in this series. And my top book of the month ended up being an audiobook, which is surprising. Usually I struggle with audiobooks, but my top book of the month was When You Look Like Us by Pamela N. Harris. And this one follows a young boy, and his sister has gone missing essentially. But as he tries to get help in investigating and figuring out where she is and what's happened to her, he's kind of getting the runaround by the police and getting kind of the answer of like she's probably a runaway, like they're not willing to put the time into it to look for her, but he knows that something is wrong, so he basically starts looking into it. It is a YA thriller also, so my top book of the month was a YA thriller and an audiobook. Who am I? But I did just really end up enjoying like the aspect of this book about basically how minorities are treated when they try to get help from the police, even though the police in this are like, they are also Black police officers. And I just thought it was really good, really well done, and I was interested all the way throughout in terms of like where he was going with who he was talking to and trying to figure out the whole case. So that was my month of September. I am very happy to be moving on to October. I'm hoping for great things. I'm hoping for some 5-star books, and I hope you'll come along for the ride. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!